Welcome. I'm glad you decided to join me today and learn about litter. The presentation today will talk about Let's Stop Litter. We can do this. My name is Donna Kaehler. I am the director from Keep Blackstone Valley Beautiful. To begin to understand how we can stop litter, we must first look at some facts about litter, which we will go into at this presentation. Hopefully, we'll become more knowledgeable about the problem of litter and then learn how we really can end litter once and for all. So let's take a minute and understand what is litter. Sometimes we use this word and we really need to think about what does that mean. Litter is trash of any type thrown where it doesn't belong. We often think of gum wrappers, cigarette butts tossed on the ground, but it's also larger items like broken washing machines pushed down on a hillside or tires left on the side of the road. We've all seen litter, but the bigger issue is that we are seeing more and more litter on our roads and in our communities than ever before. It is becoming an increasing world problem. While I stated litter is a worldwide problem, and it is, we're just going to take a quick look at how litter affects the United States. Keep America Beautiful documented back in 2009 that over 51 billion pieces of litter hit our roads every year. I wrote down the number 51 billion so we can see what that looks like. It's a very large number. That equals over 6,700 items per every mile in our United States. Living in Rhode Island and sharing this presentation with a middle school in Lincoln, Rhode Island, I showed them what 1 mile would look like. You can take a ride in your car and see what 1 mile would be on your odometer. And then remember, 6,700 pieces of litter would be in just that short distance. Again, litter is a problem everywhere, and it is a growing problem. Now that we know we do have a lot of litter out on our roads and in our communities, where does that litter come from? Many organizations have studied this, and the data shows most comes from motorists. 52% of our litter is from people while they're in their cars, basically just throwing things out the window. 22% comes from when we're walking, pedestrians, visiting parks, visiting community areas, and people are leaving items, just not finding a trash can. But what is surprising is only 16% is coming from our trash and recycling haulers and trucks and vehicles that are not properly covered. Many times when I talk with people, they think most of our litter comes from that. In reality, it's from when we're driving in our cars and when we're walking in our communities. An important thing to remember is litter always comes from people. Litter is not grown on trees. We have to think that litter is trash being thrown where it doesn't belong. So it's all up to us. Every bit out there is because of us. Now that we realize where litter comes from, let's look at why people litter. Most people are pretty lazy that litter. The motorist won't keep litter in the car, and the pedestrians won't take time to find a trash can or carry their litter in their pocket until they get home or find a trash can. That we can understand, but where it gets interesting is some people believe that litter is not their responsibility. It's someone else to take care of removing litter, cleaning it up, and it's not their worry if they throw it on the ground. Also, some people, data has shown, think that people don't care if they litter. Well, we need to send the message when we see someone littering that that bothers us. That's not something we want them to do in our communities and places we call home. Some people just think it's not wrong to litter, which I think if we stop and think about it, we know that that is not a behavior. That is something that is the right thing to do. Littering is wrong. Um, the problem too is if we just overlook litter and let our friends or people that we're with litter, even if we don't, litter tends to attract more litter. If people see litter on the ground or in the water or on the beaches, it sends almost the message that it's okay to litter. And people say, what's another water bottle or what's another candy wrapper when there's piles of litter? So litter brings more, the potential for more litter. An interesting fact about who litters is the age. And what the data and the studies have shown is that most of the people that would litter are younger. They're under 30 years old, which I don't know if I understand exactly why, but that is what the statistics show, which is interesting. So what's the big problem if we have litter in our communities? Well, litter causes numerous problems. The first being that it's very ugly to look at. Who wants to be hiking or in a nice, beautiful nature area and see trees and grass, flowers, and all this litter? But the other problem too, sometimes it's not just something we see. Have you ever been in a lake or in the ocean or somewhere that actually things are floating and they come up closer to you than you expect? Um, as we mentioned earlier, litter attracts more litter. So we definitely have a problem that the litter just makes this problem grow more and more. It brings down your property values. People tend to enjoy going and wanting to live in places that are attractive to look at, and litter takes away from that, making these areas not as enticing to go shopping or even to live. And if you don't want to live in an area, the value of your property would go down. Litter also can cause damage to our communities. One example would be the storm drains. When we see litter in the storm drains, we might not think too much about it, but it gets stuck there. But what happens when we have a huge rainstorm is that the water can't flow easily through, causing flooding to that area, or it could cause flooding to further areas, maybe even your own house. Um, Keep America Beautiful and national statistics show that the U.S. spends $11.5 billion every year to clean up litter and stop the problems litter causes. It has a lot of money we're spending in ways that maybe if we can stop littering, we can save this money and use it for better resources. Litter also has what items are littered a lot of times have very toxic chemicals that they're made from. Cigarette butts have a lot of chemicals and different toxins in that. And when that's sitting on the ground or it's in the air or in the water, these chemicals come out of the piece of litter, leaching into the environment. As we know, litter kills animals. Animals many times are taking in these toxins, or they're mistaking litter for their food. A lot of times in the ocean, animals see something and they might think it's something to eat. Here, a seagull is thinking this Doritos bag is food source or might have some food inside. Eating the whole bag is going to hurt this animal. Many animals, the whales, the dolphins, the sea turtles, constantly mistake, and fish, constantly mistake pieces of litter, plastic bags, for things that they would like to eat, and then they get hurt and many times killed. Litter also travels. We got to keep in mind when we throw something out of the car and it's on the street, doesn't mean it's going to stay right there. That can, that coffee cup, that soda cup it can move very easily with the cars going by, with wind, with rain coming, and it doesn't stay there. And it gets travels into different areas that make it even more difficult to pick up. We've all seen the plastic bag in the trees that if it was on the ground, we might be able to pick it up, but when it's 30 feet in the air, stuck in a tree, it's very, very difficult, and more times than not, we cannot clean that litter up. So we got to keep in mind when you throw, if anyone's to throw litter on the ground, it does not stay there, and the chances of even being able to pick it up become more and more difficult as it sits out there. Many different organizations do count on what we find when we go and do a litter cleanup, and these are the top 10 items that are collected. Number one item is cigarette butts. Cigarette butts. Every time we've done collections, you'll see that that is a very big item that is always picked up. Many people don't believe that cigarette butts are litter and they just throw them out, but they are a very toxic piece of litter, and they're very difficult to pick up. As you see, food wrappers, beverage bottles, bottle caps, straws and stirrers, other plastic bags, grocery bags, glass bottles, cans, and cups and plates. What we're finding is that most of these types of litter are plastic materials, made from plastic. And plastic becomes an issue as litter because plastic does not break down easily. And an interesting fact about plastic is that it takes a very, very long time to decompose. Like a plastic bottle can take up to 450 years. Plastic bags up to 500 years. Plastic has been used very recently, I believe in the last 60 years. So we've been making plastic only for 60 years, number one littered item. But when you think about it, this plastic is not going to go away for 400 years. So every piece of plastic that we have thrown on the ground as litter, it might have gotten smaller, it might have broken apart, but it's not totally gone, which is why many people do not want plastics and single-use plastics, and we definitely, if we use these items, can never throw it out as litter. So now that we have a better understanding about litter, all the problems it's causing, why we litter, don't get discouraged, because the reality is we can end litter. We just need everyone to do everything they can to help solve this problem. First and foremost, never litter. Sounds easy, but never ever litter. It's never okay to litter. And the big thing is we need you, once you understand the importance to never litter, to remind others to do the same. It's not okay if you're with a group of friends and someone throws something out, or you see someone that you know littering. Just remind them how bad it is, what they're doing, and help them, maybe pick it up. Carry and use a car litter bag. We know most litter comes from the car. It's so simple to put either a plastic bag or a little container in your car so you never have to throw things out the window. One thing that happens with litter that is an easy thing to do is on your trash day, is to make sure your trash and recycling is in the container. If we put overflowing containers or bags that aren't properly closed out on a windy day or weather or something, all that stuff can come out of the can and end up right in front of your driveway or right by your property. And if that does happen for some strange reason, please pick up what's there. We have to get that off the ground, otherwise it's going to travel somewhere else and it's never going to get taken off the road and will end up in our environment as litter for a long time. Pick up litter. Sometimes it's not the most fun, but if you can do right in front of your property or a little area, an empty lot across the street, we would make a huge difference on how much litter is out in the state of Rhode Island and in the nation totally. Take a walk when you're walking on the beach, or even go crazy and pick up litter at a park, or go to a friend's house, or have some friends over and do an Earth Day cleanup. You'll feel good, and you've been doing a really good thing for our environment. Many times we have community cleanup days. Join one of those. It's a great way to meet other people and make a big difference all at the same time. I thank you for joining me today and learning about how we might be able to really stop litter in our communities. My name is Donna Kaehler with Keep Blackstone Valley Beautiful. Our goals are to end litter, reduce waste, beautify our communities so we all have a clean, green, and beautiful place to live. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to contact me or visit our website for more information. Let's stop litter. Thank you.